Mr. Faizi, Mr. Featherstone, members of the Continental Board of Councillors, assembled friends. When I was a new Baha'i, the friends tried to explain to me the station of the hands of the cause, and what little understanding I had impressed me so much that I longed to meet one of them. And surely the bounty of Bahá'u'lláh is most great. For here this afternoon I have the honor and the privilege of introducing to you the official representative of the Universal House of Justice, Mr. A.Q. Faizi.
Allah, our dear friends, let's go back a little bit in the history of our faith. And I would like to give you one paragraph from a book which had been discovered recently. This is the memoirs of a certain physician who had been living in Persia and had been the physician of the court. One day he had been, this is what he has written, one day he had been in the presence of Nasruddin Shah, the one who stood firmly against the Bahá'í Faith, and in his time the Bab was martyred and Baha'u'lláh was thrown into the depths of Siyah-Char. The physician says, when I was in the presence of the king, suddenly we all heard the rumors of certain voices coming to us. And when the king saw the signs of surprise and astonishment on my face, he said, "Don't you know the source of these noises?" And he said, "No." He said, "These are the Babis who are imprisoned in Siyah-Char, and they are praying now. This is their prayer." They were repeating the verses of the Bab, such as, "Is there any remover of difficulty?" Such things were chanted by them, more than 150 people. And the French physician had been very, very surprised. Why should the people who pray be cast into prison? And then the king said, "Would you like to see them?" He said, "Yes, very much." And this is the description he gives in his book, in his memoirs. He says, "I went into the depths of darkness. I couldn't see faces. It was so dark. It was down, down below the surface of the earth. When my eyes were open a little bit, in that darkness, I found a man in such a heavy chain that he could not sit straight. The chain bent down his neck, and the half of his body had been bent down to the earth, and his two hands spread like this so that he could stand against the weight of this chain. The head approaching the earth, and the two hands spread like this, and this was Baha'u'lláh. They said, this is the leader of these Babis. Now, all through these beautiful moments that we have together, and your conference is going on and on, from one level of progress to another one, from one level of spiritualization of these islands to a higher one, I am only thinking of that prisoner in Siacha. Where is Siacha? Between us and Siacha, 2 continents and 2 oceans stand. Who could ever think that one day the name of Baha'u'lláh would reach these shores? It was absolutely beyond the imagination of any person in those days. But it was he himself who said, do whatever you like with me. Put me in the worst prison than Siacha. Hang me, kill me, but my faith will survive me and will be spread all over the world. And the inhabitants of the world will come to recognize the faith of Baha'u'lláh. There is a letter written by Baha'u'lláh at the time when he had been released from Siacha on condition that he would be exiled to Iraq, no more living in Persia. The king, ministers, everybody had been afraid of the existence of Baha'u'lláh in Tehran. He accepted. Before going, or perhaps on the way, he wrote a letter to one of his family. Tomorrow, I will read that letter to you. It will be too much for us to read all these things one day. Just think, always think, where are we now? And where was Baha'u'lláh? Always during his life, in prison, exiled, in difficulties, so bitterly afflicted with the people of the world that in one of his tablets in Akka says, how I longed to take a path and go to the end of this path, to the end of the world, all alone by myself. He had been fed up with humanity, with the people around him, whoever had been, that he wanted a way to run away from mankind. But today we are responding to his call. Today he is happy that the message he brought to mankind has reached to this far, far away island. To give you one more example, to know the extent of the joy of Baha'u'lláh at this time. One day in Baghdad, when he had been walking in the city, passing through a great bridge, and somebody, a messenger, we didn't have post in those days, a messenger came with one envelope in his hand. On it was written, to the head of the Babis. And this messenger directly went to Baha'u'lláh and gave him the letter. Just a letter. Now, immediately he returned home, called his faithful brother, Mirza Musa Kalim, the only brother who remained faithful to him. He said, Musa, come and see the spread of the fame of the faith. Come and understand how far the faith of God has gone, that somebody has written a letter to me. On the envelope, no name is mentioned, only the head of the Babis, and the letter is brought to me, given to me on the bridge. Now, the distance between Baghdad and that town had been only 3 hours walking, 1 hour by horse or by something else. Just imagine, 3 hours distance, Baha'u'lláh was happy that the fame of the cause has reached there. Now, you can measure the intensity of his joy at this time, that there are friends from the Pacific Ocean, all islands, are coming here. They are singing Ya Bahá'u'lláh. They're greeting each other by the term Allahu Akbar. Who could ever imagine this except himself? The quality of the prophets of God is this, that they can see ocean in a drop. They can see deserts in a pebble. He could see this day when he received that letter. The letter from a very short distance. Now, yesterday I spoke to you all about the importance of today and the greatness of the future. I read one or two quotations, but when I went home, I was not satisfied that I read only two. I brought here to read to you the exact text. Of course, these are in Persian or Arabic, and unfortunately, you do not agree to learn Arabic and Persian as the international language of the future. Now, I'm not serious about it. It's a joke between the hands of the cause. They all argue with me about this. They want English to be so. Now, Baha'u'lláh has said, if anyone misses one breath of time to serve the cause today, the missing of one breath, he will never regain it, even if he spends one whole century to find it. Therefore, every moment of these days, every moment is equal to 1 century in future, and we'll never find it. Today is the day that the pearls of faith and steadfastness will be revealed from the minds of the existence of the people of the world. If I could reveal the greatness of today, you would sacrifice 100,000 lives to get one moment of it. Today is the day that all moments, hours, days, nights, and centuries are prostrating in front of 1 minute of it. Centuries are humbled in comparison to one moment of this day. Today is the greatest day of history because all the pearls and jewels deposited by the hands of God in the minds of each individual human being will be manifested. Today is the master of all days, nay, the king of all days. This is the day of tongues, and he defines it. He means that this day is created, that the tongues will be open to proclaim the faith of God and to praise him. I hope we will have more chances together and I will read to you more quotations about today. But what about our future? Ere long, you will see all the people of the world advancing towards you. They cry because they had lost the moments, the minutes of services to the cause of God. They will see themselves in the utmost of sadness, in the depth of humility, and then you will find yourself enthroned on the thrones of security. This youth refers to himself, Baha'u'lláh. This youth is missioned by God, is sent by him to give a new life to the world of today. You will see by your own eyes how this religion will create spiritual revolution throughout the world, and then you will see the earth, the exalted paradise of God. Do you know in which tablet this is mentioned? This is mentioned in the tablet addressed to the Caliph of Ottoman, who had imprisoned Baha'u'lláh in Akka. He warns him against these things. And he says, you will see by yourself the greatness of this cause. Abdul Baha says, ere long, such revolutions will be manifested from all horizons. And after those events, the light of the effulgence and glory of the faith will be shining out from the hearts of the lovers of the cause and believers. The bells of heaven, the bells which are ringing in the churches, Abdul Baha changes them into the bells of heaven. Suppose heaven is the ceiling of a church, the world church. The bells of heaven will be ringing in near future, Ya Baha al-Abha. And the musical instruments of the East and West will sing the song of Ya Rabbi al-A'la, O my Lord, the Exalted One, which refers to the Bab. One to Baha'u'lláh, the other to the Bab. The world will be utterly changed and will become another world. Heavens will be changed and you will have another heaven. This handful of dust will become the paradise of the exalted beauty. You will hear the voice, how happy you are, from all horizons. And the voices of thanksgiving will reach the zenith of heavens. East and West will exchange greetings of joy. And then Abdul Baha says, on that moment, the believers will be in the utmost of joy, thanksgiving, and happiness, and others who remained ignorant to the call of Baha'u'lláh will find themselves losers in life here and there. And then he says, this is absolutely true, and there is no error in this, and this will take place in future. The last sentence needs a little bit of explanation, but please remind me to tell you At another time, why did he say there is no error in it? Ere long, the spring season of the cause of God will decorate the whole globe, and the seeds which had been sown by the hands of the blessed perfection will be starting to grow in deserts, and everywhere will be green. Flowers, blossoms, flowers and blossoms of the truths of this faith will be unfolded, and the people of East and West will receive the perfume of all these roses. I will read to you more, because these are, I believe, most necessary for every one of us to have and grasp and deepen ourselves in the greatness of the chance given to us today and what we have in future, to be ready to receive the future. There is no joy greater than this. There is no profit more exalted than what Baha'u'lláh expects us to do in this day and in the future. To make you happy, the House of Justice has sent this book and has said I should acclaim it in the conference here. You are all expecting to know more about the Bab. You are all desiring to read more of his writings. This is the first selections from many of the writings of the Bab. The selections had been made by the Universal House of Justice, and one young man translated all these things, and then approved by the House of Justice and published. The name of the book is Selections from the Writings of the Bab, translated by Habib Taherzadeh. I will tell you more about this man who has translated it, because this will be an example to all the youths. I will place it on the desk of the chairman, and the friends would like to have a look at it there. It's all right. In the old libraries of England, Scotland, and many libraries of Germany, old antiquities, I found the books chained to the desk. I should chain this because this is the only copy, but I'm sure it will come back to me. Now, all these things I said were just introductory to what I would like to share with our beloved friends here. Your joy, your spiritual impact revives any person coming here, resuscitates, even if he's fallen in bed. Therefore, I would like to give you more and more to be with you and talk to you. This topic is particularly useful for the youths, and I beg them to concentrate their efforts, their attention to the middle of the 19th century in the history of the world. When you study the history of the world, you come near the 19th century. Suddenly you find history is covered by clouds, and we do not know what is happening. Why so many revolutions? Why so many upheavals in the whole world? And then you read history, come to 1800, enter into the 19th century, gradually come forward and forward. Suddenly you will see a sun, absolutely bright, comes out in the middle of the 19th century. All those clouds had been introductory steps for the effulgence of this glorious sun. It is like an outburst of all powers, as if all forces of the history of mankind found momentum in the middle of the 19th century. Suddenly the outburst took place. By outburst, I mean all forces, spiritual and material, started in the middle of the 19th century to be open and given to mankind. It was in 1844 when the Bab declared his mission. I will read to you the exact text tomorrow, but I just tell you now. Baha'u'lláh says, any prophet appears on this planet, God will send with him all material powers required for the propagation of his faith. In the age of Baha'u'lláh, because the unity of the world had been the goal of his faith, therefore material means had been given by God in the middle of the 19th century so that communication between faraway parts of this globe would become easier and nearer. Had it not been for these discoveries of material science, material technique, how could we be here? If we didn't have aeroplanes, if we did not have telex, telegram, telephone, and many other things, how could we have news from each other? It would be absolutely impossible. If God did not plan for these powers to be given to humanity, he would never make the aim and goal of the Baha'i Faith the unity of mankind. Unity of mankind means closeness and being nearer to each other. Now, East and West embraced each other because of the spiritual impact of the two prophets of God coming consecutively to the world and all these material means. Once a pilgrim came from the presence of the beloved God. He asked them, how long did it take you to come to Haifa? He said, beloved guardian, almost 1 week by car from Tehran to the Holy Land. The guard, when he was relating it, he related this in this way. He said, immediately the guardian said, first, the pilgrims used to come in several months, walking from Persia to come and visit Baha'u'lláh. Now it is weeks. It will become days, and then it will become hours, and then minutes. When he said these things, because within himself he was doubting what the guardian had said, he said, I don't say it, the guardian said. If you have any blame, put on the guardian, not on me. This is what he meant. Now today, if we didn't have the difficulties of the countries neighboring to Israel, the people of Tehran could come in 45 minutes to the Holy Land, straight from Tehran to the Holy Land. But unfortunately, because of political conditions, they must go from Tehran to Turkey, over Greece, over Mediterranean, Cyprus, Haifa. It takes them about 2 hours and some minutes. But this straight line will be only 45 minutes. This is what Baha'u'lláh means. And the same thing will take momentum, and we will travel the world even in shorter times. News communication will become easier and easier. Why? This is the great glad tidings to the youths. This is their opportunity. Baha'u'lláh says, arts, sciences, techniques will come into existence that the ears of the world have never heard about and the eyes of the world had never seen. What does he mean? He said it in several places. He means the Baha'i youths will be the sources of this new science. Why should we say Baha'i youths? Because whatever is invented up till today mostly are used for warfare. But the Baha'i youth, when he discovers something, what will he do? For promotion of love, of unity, of nearness, of closeness. In several places, Abdul Baha and Baha'u'lláh have promised the Baha'i communities that they will have wonderful youths to be the sources of all these great blessings. My very precious young friends, you will never reach this aim by smoking cigarettes, by smoking opium, by smoking drugs, by drinking all sorts of alcoholic beverages, or spending thriftily all your powers. No, you must keep the temple of your body absolutely clean. How do we keep all the temples in the world clean? Because the Spirit of God should be there. The same thing is true with your physical temples. Keep it clean absolutely, so that the Spirit of God will come to you, inspire you, aid you, confirm you, and you will be the sources of all these manifestations of art, sciences, and technique. Try it. Prepare yourselves for the time when these things should be given to humanity. You will be the first ones to receive. When the Bab declared his mission, 1844, many scientific, spiritual revolutions took place in the whole world. Again, it is your duty and task to study history and find them. 2 or 3 years after that, there was a very wonderful meeting in London, the results of which were very great for human society. You all know when Darwin promoted his idea of evolution, many people, many scientists supported this idea. And the greatest of them was Huxley. So much so that they called Huxley the bulldog of Darwin, because he defended his theory everywhere. But the priests, absolutely ignorant to the spirit of time, stood against the spirit of this idea. Absolutely. Then the time came when these two powers should come for a confrontation. In 1846, this meeting took place in London. On one side, all the defenders of Darwin. On the other side, many priests from all over the European continent, and many, many young students were watching the circumstances. Huxley gave the most beautiful speech in explaining the theory of Darwin. And he never said that we are really descended from monkeys. No, he explained the fundamental of the evolution of race of man throughout eternity. And when he sat down, the chairman said, now is the turn of our spiritual leaders of Europe to exhibit something, to give us explanation, and so on. One of them came, unfortunately, most unfortunately, came to the pulpit and said, if these people believe that monkey is their great-grandfather, whenever they see them in the zoo, let them take off their hats and say, good morning, my great-grandfather, and sat down. What happened? Religion descended. Religion lost its prestige, lost its control of the hearts of the people. And there was no hope. The clash between these two became stronger, and it was religion which was beaten down. It was knocked out of this playground, absolutely. Therefore, the mass of the youths went away from the dome of the churches, from the control of spiritual powers, from even listening to the priests, because they understood how low their mentality is and how stupid their statements are. This went on and on. 1863 approached. Baha'u'lláh declared his universal faith. Amongst principles of Baha'u'lláh, he mentioned religion without science is superstition, and science without religion is destruction. You see how he harmonized these two. One should lose the art of fighting, just go on with pure science, discover whatever they want, but they must use these powers, these new inventions, new fundamental understandings of human beings for the peace, unity, and love of mankind. And religion should never bind the people by the superstitions of 6,000 years ago. The youth, of course, rejected blind obedience, dogmatic sayings of the people who had no authority, and they were offended of the ridicules that the priest made of the scientific discoveries. We reached the climax of this struggle between these two powers. And the best way that you can visualize what happened at that time, please let's have in our mind a picture which is framed. Picture inside, and this is controlled by a frame around it. Picture is the ideas, philosophy, the results of discoveries, investigations of man. The control had been the frame which was the authority of the churches over these understandings. They said, whatever a philosopher says, an astronomer says, a physician says, whatever they say, it must be approved by the priest of a village or a country. Therefore, there was no progress in science. They stood still by the ideas prevalent in the Middle Centuries. Now, in 1844, and the confrontation which took place in 1846 gave a chance for the picture in the middle to burst all together, expanded with great velocity, so great that it broke the frames. Therefore, religion lost its control on mankind, particularly on the youth. Now, the condition of the world became like a boat which had no steer, existing on an ocean full of turmoil and storms, no plan, no shore ever seen by them, no captain, no standard, and no means of finding any news. This was the picture of the world at that time. Came, unfortunately, most unfortunately, came to the pulpit and said, if these people believe that monkey is their great-grandfather, whenever they see them in the zoo, let them take off their hats and say, good morning, my great-grandfather, and sat down. What happened? Religion, and we made an adjective in English, servile. But in the faith of Baha'u'lláh, servitude is the highest, the topmost zenith of the tabernacle of Baha'u'lláh. Baha'u'lláh himself said, I never wanted to supersede any person in my life. I longed to be on the dust on which the friends of God walked over. I always walked with my friends shoulder by shoulder. and we worked always together. And you know about Abdul Baha. He never wanted anything at all except servitude. He never accepted any title. All the titles Baha'u'lláh used in different